and I think that was probably all that came from it. But it is quite important because I've got very long experience of this process of completely besieging and isolating a person and demonizing them and calling them all these names has certainly certain self-fulfilling aspects to it. So I think that was good. But quite clearly, from what we hear, the promise that we thought we had, and which Putin obviously thought he had, that Russia would get on and finish the war, and that Russia and the US wouldn't escalate, hasn't happened. And with these Tomahawks and other things, other missiles, long-range missiles, I mean, what the Financial Times, clearly a leaked document for a political purpose, but what it was saying was that actually Trump has been increasing the amount and level of intelligence to Ukraine so that the missiles they fire at refineries and deep into Russia can move around Russian air defenses and radar systems and strike the target more easily. And that's all American intelligence, not European intelligence. And the Financial Times actually makes that clear.
Is the United States at war with Russia?
Yes, clearly. I mean, of course, you are at war at a low level, low state of actual combat, but you're clearly at war with Russia, and that is where. And the whole of that statement you meant was, if you like, sort of saying, oh, well, the Europeans can buy Tomahawks and they can send them into Russia. Well, let's be clear, the Tomahawks are not really frightening Russia, even if they gave them to the Ukrainians. I mean, they're 40 years old, they're slow, they're not hypersonic, they're subsonic, they are big, slow, old missiles, and the Russians will probably shoot down almost all of them. One or two may get through. This is not going to be a game changer, because the game changer is taking place now, actually in Donbass and on the borders, where the game is changing and changing today. And there's no good people saying, oh, well, there's nothing, we don't see much. Well, look again, because it is changing dramatically. And so what Lukashenko said, and he said, I'm not trying to be, to scare people, but he said, it's getting close to the point where there will not be a Ukrainian state left. And I'm saying this, to my friends in Ukraine. If you continue in the route you're doing, I mean, this is going to end up in a disaster for you. So I think I think what he said was quite important, and he didn't really hypen. We are living in a period where fear is being heightened and heightened and heightened, but it's nearly all public relations and bluff. And look what happens. Oh, guess those frightening drones over Lithuania. What did they turn out to be? There was nothing. The drones that were supposed to be on the ship that the French, if you like, arrested, there were no drones. What were they seeing in Denmark and other parts of Europe? They all turned out to be, and this is what they're now admitting, they all turned out to be, young people who are fascinated in drones. I mean, drone addicts who were playing around with the authorities and daring each other to fly them near airports. But there were no evidence of Russian drones at all. All of this is hype. And I think really too what Lukashenko was saying was, also these Tomahawks are really hype. And it's dangerous in the sense that I think we're moving into a new era of escalation. Escalation will come in Russia, I think, by the United States. Maybe bits of Europe will do something stupid, probably. But also, the main thing is also, we're getting close to that clear point where China may have taken the decision to pop the artificial intelligence bubble, and therefore the stock market in the US. Not deliberately to create a huge financial crisis, but because they needed to send something very, very plain and clear to the United States. And I think Trump is probably going to back down completely on this. Whether the Chinese, the Chinese are really angry now. They said they've had enough because this whole crisis was triggered by Trump and the Commerce Department putting the 50% on, if you like, export controls that they'd had on tariffs. They said any entity that is 50% owned or more now has all the export controls on it, as well as the threat of 100% tariffs if you were simply exporting to America and you were on the list that the BIS holds. So he deliberately put them on that list, and that would have had big impact on China's own technological development. And so China has sent a very clear reminder. Listen, your whole tech enterprise is really fragile. So don't play around with matches.